Hello everyone, is Professor Sadiq Noor, and today in this video I am gonna show you how to use databases and database objects as an introduction. In the first video is gonna be six videos about database, about access. So that's one of the first series, chapter number one, databases and database objects and introduction. So the objective of this video, after you complete this video, you should be able to describe the feature of access window, create a database using a template, creating a table using data sheet view, modifying the property of a table, primary key, display the table structure in a design view, adding a record to the table, resizing the table column in a data sheet view, creating a table using a design view, then how you're going to import a table from an existing database, creating a query using the simple query wizard, how to run the query that you created, how to create a form, how to create a report using the report wizard, and then finally we're going to explain special database operations. So the first thing here is we need to know actually what is database. The term database. Database describe a collection of data organized in a manner that allow access, retrieval, and use of that data. So a database describes a collection of data organized in a manner or in a way that allows access, retrieval, and use of that data. So Microsoft 365 Access usually refer simply as Access, right? So Access is a database management system. So what is a database management system? Is a software that allow you to use a computer to create a database, adding, change, changing, delete the data in the database, ask and answer questions concerning the data, and create forms and report using the data, right? So in this video, I'm gonna create a killer net logistic database, right? So let's start the video. So the first thing I will do is that I will open Access. So you're gonna go to your search and search your computer for Access. You will need Access. So I do have Access here. Click it. So this is the welcome screen, right? These are templates here. So, and this is your backstage, you can say. So obviously here now it says you want to open a blank database, like a new database, right? And then home, if you want to open a new one, you want to open an existing one, you can do so. So the next thing we want to do here is we want to start with a blank database, right? So to do that, what we need is we need to go with the blank database, right? I don't want to use any template in here. So we're going to be creating a database, right? So to create a database, why do we need to have the blank database? So the blank database is the most efficient way to create a database for which you already know the intended data needed, right? So you already know what data I need for this database. So that's why we wanna create a blank database, right? So to do that, I will click on the new, which is the blank. And then the first thing when you click the blank database is gonna open this dialog box. It's gonna ask you where you wanna save your database. So you will have to click in the right hand side of the text box and then click the folder to specify the location. And then I will go to, you can save it under the document, but be sure that you create a folder. So I will create a folder. I will call it Access Lecture. All right. Then I will double click it to open it. And now the next thing after you name your folder, you create a folder. The next is now is to name your database. So the name of the database is gonna be, I will call it SC underscore AC underscore 01 underscore clear net clear net. And then don't change anything, just click OK. You will come back to the blank database dialog box and then hit or click create. So now we are in Access. Access, as you see, just the name of the database, all right? And then this is the quick launch toolbar here. Undo, redo, and then save. Below the quick launch toolbar is your tab. This is your tab. And then this is your ribbon, right? So let me indicate what is what. So these guys here in the top, here, this is your tabs. Microsoft now they have tabs and ribbons actually. Now these ones here, this one below the tab is the ribbon. All right. The ribbon consists of groups, and within the group is the commands. All right. So that's the ribbon. So the next thing you see this area here. This area, the white area, is your data sheet view. Is a data sheet. You are in a data sheet view, right? Data sheet view. In a data sheet view is the view where you can create the columns and also you can enter the records. So remember the columns in your data sheet is what we call in Access. We call them field, right? So it's very important to create the field because if you have a table without the field, so how you gonna enter the record? So field is equivalent to column heading, right? So the column heading is called field. Now the rows in a table in Access is referred as records. Records, right? Records. So this chapter, the first chapter is very important because from here then you will see me in my next videos. I will be using the same database that I created, the ClearNet, right? So the next thing we want to know here is actually what is a record? A record contains information about a given person or an item or an event. That is record, right? So the rows in a tables are called records, A record contains information about a given person, item, or event, right? For example, a row in the shipper table, for example, it might contain information about the name, the address, the company name, and so on. Now, the columns in the table are called field, right? So a field contains a specific piece of information within a record. So a field contains a specific piece of information within a record, right? For example, your column name could be student ID, name, last name, age. So these are your field. And then you will have the record for each of the field, right? So the next thing is what we have is a primary key, which is a unique identifier, right? So the primary key in Access is very required because when you assign a field in a table, a primary key, then that column or that field will never allow you to duplicate the records. Never. All right. So that's what makes the database access different from the other because you cannot just keep on adding duplication, right? So with the primary key, so you need to be sure that the record, sorry, the field you choose, it should match or suit the primary key. Like you cannot have a primary key for the address, for the name, for the last name, for the telephone. The best place to put a primary key is in a column like shipper ID, member ID, student ID, social security number. That would be perfect place to put your primary key so that nobody can duplicate because every of the student IDs are different from the other student, right? So Sadiq will have a different ID and Suzanne will have a different ID. So you cannot give Sadiq a student ID to somebody else. If you did that, then Access will not allow you to put the information about Sarah in your table, right? So that's very much important here in Access, right? So the next thing, if you look at this here, this area, the left pane here, this is your object object view. You can see all the object in Access that you created in Access, right? That's the objects, the navigation, right? So this is your navigation pane, this one here, okay? So any of the object that you created by default, when you clicked on the blank database, you will have only one table. As you see here, we have only one table, all right? So we have to start with one table, and that's what you see in the right-hand side. You see here, it said table one, and it has only one field, one column, ID. See, Microsoft, they already give us an ID to start with, right? So, but we will have to change the ID according to the data that we want to put in our table, right? But by default, Access will always give you a table to start with one column, right? So this one here, as you see, is your field, right? As I showed you earlier. So this is your field. And below the field here, in the white area here, that's where the record has to be typed. So you will type the record here in the white area below the column name. All right. So you will have to type the records here, one after the other. All right. So let's move to the next step. So the first thing we want to do after we name the database, And then if you look down here, is your status bar. So now we are in a data sheet view. If you notice here, it's a data sheet view, right? And then we have here the view. If you want to change the view of the table, now we are in a data sheet view. If you want to go to the design view, then you can click here, right? Now, first, what we want to do is we will create the table, right? Now, one thing more in Access is that in Access, we have something called data type, right? So each field in your database, right? Each column that you're going to define, you must determine the field's data type. That is the type of the data that can be stored in the field. So what kind of data will that column will have? Or you can say is the type of data that can be stored in the field in the column. That's the data type, right? So four of the most commonly used data type in Access are short text, number, currency, if you want to have the dollar amount, and the date and time, right? So for the short text, you can go up to 255 character long. So you can have a maximum number of 255 characters is allowed in a field whose data type is short text. If you have a column that will be a number like age, right? So then I will say number. If you have something like cost, fees, then I will say currency because I want to put the dollar amount with it. All right. So next, so the table, what you see now here, the table has a two views. Data sheet view is what you see right now. We are in a data sheet view. Always when you open a blank database, you will be in a data sheet view, right? So the design view I will show you later on, right? So we have like long text data type, which is unlimited. Then we have large number, we have automated auto number, we have yes or no, we have OLE object. These are all the data types, right? You will see in the coming chapters, in the coming videos, I will be using different kinds, right? So the first thing now to create a table using a data sheet view, right? Which is a little bit difficult, but means if you like this way to create the columns while you are in a data sheet, you can accomplish that. But the most easiest is when you are in a design view. Design view means it's meant to design your table, right? So it's gonna be easy for me to put the columns like the field and their data types. Here you can accomplish the task, but it's gonna be a little bit tricky, right? So it's up to you which way you want to start creating the table. Either you want to do it while you are in a data sheet view, which is I'm right in, or you want to do it while you are in a design view. So I will show you both views, and then it's up to you what you want to do there, right? So we're gonna now enter. We're gonna enter, and before we enter the field, the columns, we will obviously modify the column that Microsoft Access has given us. You see here it says ID. So I don't want ID. So what you could do is you see my mouse move over the ID and then do right click and then you can say rename field or you can just double click it. So let me show you the other way. Suppose suppose you want to change this, you will select with the black down arrow and then double click it, right? Or the book, or they said you have to select like this and then right click, rename. As you see, the ID has been highlighted. And then we're gonna type shipper space ID to assign a name to the new field. All right. Now click on the white space area here to execute what you say. So the first column is shipper ID, right? Now we need to change the data type, what you want to enter below the shipper ID, or what data will the shipper ID will store, right? Now by default, because remember it was ID and Microsoft created for us, so the data type is auto number. So what we need to do, if you look here now, it says auto number, right? The data type. So you will go down here and then you will change it to short text. So now it's a short text, right? Now the size. Now you see remember I told you the short text, it takes up to 255 character long. So you need to change this. Click on the box and then change it to 5. All right. Now you can also go to the name caption and then you can give it a caption, right? So to do that, I will click on the name and caption here under the properties group and the field tab. Click the name and caption. So is the name is shipper ID, right? So under the caption, I will say sometime if you have a big column name, you can just create a caption of it, like the way I'm doing it under underscore ID, and then you can put a description, unique identifier of shipping company. All right. And then you will click OK. Now, the next thing we need is we need to add our next column. All right. So we need to click to append a column, right? So to do that, the first thing to add the next column is here. It says click to add, right? So click. So Access will ask you what's the data type of the second column that you want to create. So that will be short. The type will be short, right? So now I have to override the field one that Microsoft have given us. And then we're gonna say shipper space name. All right. And then the next thing, if you want, you can also change the size. So the shipper will be 50 instead of being 255. So 50. All right. Now click anywhere to execute what you did below. So see, sometimes it doesn't, right? So you have to do it again. Double click it and tap shipper. Sometimes if you press the enter key, it should work. But if it doesn't, see, I press the enter key, now it works, right? Now let's go to the third one. The third one will be short text. So click short text, the data type. And then we're gonna say shipper contact. All right. We want the size to be 50. And then the data type is already what? Short text, right? That's what you selected before you create the shipper contact. Now, I'll see, you have to be a little bit sure that you click the right. So shipper space contact. So I'm showing you what sometimes you might have this problem. Just press the enter key. The next is shipper phone. Is a short text. Shipper phone. And then we need the size of the field to be 50. And then you can just click down here. See? Sometimes if he doesn't take it, so you have to press the enter key. Shaper, shaper, font. All right, and then push the enter key. Now, when you press the enter key, obviously, Access assume that you want to add your next column. So my next column will be shipper email, right? So for the font now, intentionally what I did was I put wrong because I want to show you how to correct if you did wrong. So the size, it has to be 12 for the font, right? So you can go back here and just change it to 12 and then click anywhere here, right? So you changed it to what? 12, right? So the next thing we want to do after we add uh, the information. So if you want to add a caption for this, you can do so. You can go in the name of caption, and then you can say the caption is font. You can click OK. All right. For this one, you can go to the name caption. So this one, the caption will be contact, and then click OK. All right. And then you can also, let me check. Also, we will add now our 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 5, column number 5, right? Now, if you think that your column is cutting off, like Excel, because Access and Excel, they belong to the same family in Microsoft. So go to the middle or in the right of the column that your column is cutting off. So when you see the two split arrows and double click it to stretch it. That's how to stretch the column in Access. Now we're gonna go here to add the fifth column. And then the fifth column will be shipper email. So it's a short text. And then I'm gonna say shipper email. All right. We want the size to be 50. And then press the enter key. It takes it back. So take it back. Today is acting crazy. So shipper email. And then push the enter key. See, it take it. Now go to the next one. Shipper address. So that's why I don't like to create the columns while I'm in a data sheet view. I like to use the data sheet view just to enter the record. You see, the problem is you typed it, you put it just take it back to field 1. So you have to do it again. So the next one is shipper address, right? And then the size will remain 255. And then we will click the enter key. Now we're gonna put shipper location is a short text. Shipper locations. And then the field size will remain the same. Push the enter key. Now we need shipper billing notes. It's gonna be long number, long text, long text. So the difference between long and short is that short you have 255 characters, but the long text is unlimited, right? And then the field name will be shipper space billing space notes, right? Now you see I don't have the size, field size because it's unlimited, the long text. Now go to the caption and we will call this as location, all right? Location. So let me change this. It was, so first create the column and then go to the name and caption. So that was our shipper sorry, locations, and then click OK. Now, the next one, so we already have, so I did wrong here. Look, shipper location is already there, right? So this one should be the billing one. So let's go to the name and caption. Let me first delete this guy and hit the delete, or you can just go here and delete it. Now let's start from scratch. Click to add. We want long, and the field name is gonna be shipper space billing notes. Press the enter key. Now go back to this guy here and then go to the name box. You see, it has to be what you said. And then go to the caption, and then we're gonna change it to billing notes. Now let's go to the location. We have to call it locations. And then this one, go to the name and caption. And then let's give it the caption as address. All right. And then for this email, also we need to change the caption, the name from, although the name will remain shipper email, but what you're gonna see is gonna be the caption email to save space, you know. Here you go. So after we typed all these columns, now the next is we have to save the table. So the save process is either you can go to the quick launch and click the floppy to save it, or you could just close it, the table tab. You see the table tab is here now. You can just hit the X to quit, right? So it's up to you. When you click X, then it's gonna ask you, do you want to save the table? You will say yes, then you have to provide the name. So we're gonna go with the floppy here, and it says what will be the name. So why do we need to save the table? Now, KillianNet has decided that the shipper is an appropriate name for the for the table. So we will call this shipper. Shippers. It has all the shippers information, and click OK. All right. As you see now in your left navigation pane or the object window, it has table 1 with the shippers, right? Now, how you gonna view the table in a design view? This view, as you see here, it says data sheet view, right? So how you gonna view it, the design view? So one way is you will click here. So below the file, which I am under the table field, right? So the first group is view. So if you click the down arrow here, I have two views. Right now I'm in a data sheet view. As you see, it's darker. If you want to go to the design view, you will click the design view. So this is what the design view look like. So in a design view, you cannot enter the record, not at all. So to enter the record, you have to be in a data sheet view. So in a design view is when you have to create your field, and the field name, your column name will be here, one after the other. The next one here, the next column is your data type. What type of data will the column that you create will have? Or what the column will store? What kind of data will the column will store? Like the shipper ID will have short text, right? And this is the description that you put there under the caption, name and caption, right? If you remember in the previous steps. Now, the one in the bottom here is your field properties. Any property you want to change. Remember, we changed the size of the shipper ID to 5. So that's the guy here. You can do it from here if you want to change the size. Also, remember we have given the caption S underscore ID. That's here, right? The next thing you see in the left of the shipper ID, I have something says like a key. It means that the shipper ID will be the primary key. So this is your primary key. You see here, right? So this shipper ID will never allow you to duplicate any of the IDs. Every shipper will have its own shipper ID. So it's very easy. Just I have to declare my field, my columns here, and the data type. And if I want to change any of the properties regarding the field, I can do so easy instead of being in the data sheet view, right? So these are your options. So it's up to you either you want to create the column while you are in a data sheet view, or you could just, use the design view after you name the table and just go there and add your columns you want for your table. So the table is the most important object in Access, the table, the one that you created in this database for the ClearNet is the shipper now, right? So first, you have to create the table. The table is the one that has columns and rows, right? So the rows is equal to the records and the columns are equal to the field, right? So it's very important because all the records that you're gonna enter, they're gonna be saved in a table. So the table actually is gonna be like a storage. It's gonna be in the back end to save our record. That will be the place where all your records will be saved. Then the other object we can create later on, like the queries, the object, the report, the form, that will be the next. You cannot create a query or a report or a form without the table. So first the table, right? As you see, the first thing I did is I created the table. Now I will delete this. Now we want to get out of the design. One way you can just hit the X to close it, right? Or you can just click here to view if you want to go back to the data sheet view, right? So I will show you both. First, if you want to close it from here, it's going to take you back here. And then if you want to go back to the design, you will do right click and then design view. You can also do right click. It's going to take you back to the design view. Now, what I want to do is I want to go to the data sheet view, right? While I'm in the design view. So I will click the view down arrow and I want to get out of the design view, go to the data sheet view. It's going to open the data sheet view. All right. Now, the other way, if you want to close it and then you want to add or you want to open the table and instead of double clicking, I personally, I double click it like this, right, to open the table. But if you don't want, you can do right click and then open, right? So now we're gonna populate the record. The first record I'm gonna type is S001. Press the enter key. Service flooring. I'm adding the record to the table now. Uh, Contact is Corey Sabas. Just press the enter key. The phone number is 719-555-4411. Press the enter key. The email is C Sabas at example.com. Now your stuff is cutting off, so go to the right of the email column and double click it to stretch it. The address 460 space West Panier Road, comma, and Dolores, comma, okay, which is Oklahoma, 73026. Now I can see the whole thing. I will go to the right of the address column, and when I see the black arrow, the split arrow, double click it. I can see everything now. So the location is home office at warehouse. Now I will stretch it again. Now the last one I have is the billing notes, and I will say send paper space invoice and press the enter key. Now I will stretch it. All right. Now I will put the second record S002. That one is Mid Valley Nurseries. I can double click it to stretch it, so you're gonna see. And then the contact is Steven. Now I will stretch it. Now the phone number 513-555-. So this database that we are creating is very important because in my next chapters, when I will demonstrate the other series for database, I will be using the same database. So it's very important to save it because that will be the continuation of what we did in chapter number 1, right? So here is SNGUAYEN at example.com. If you're cutting off, go to the right of the email, double click it. The address 9874 South Main Street, comma, bleeding, comma, OH, Ohio, and then 43056. I will go to the right to stretch it. All right. Now location, nursery, add L-001. Press the enter key. The billing notes is email, PDF, invoice, enter. The third record 003, and that is auto suppliers INC. Abdul space Ritter, phone number 337 555-8901. The email is abdulr example.com, and then 182-b root 56, comma, Cloud Springs, LA 70784. Warehouse. So that's the data entry actually. You are entering the record to the table shipper. And then email, PDF, invoice. So we enter these three, all right? And now this one here, the arrow here is the shutter bar. You see where my mouse indicate. So you can close it to get a full screen. If you want it back, click the shutter bar to open it to see all your objects, right? So the table will be under the table, the queries, the forms, and so on will be under its own category. So if you did wrong and you want to fix it, you can just double click, go to the cell and double click it. Override or just click inside and then you can change if you misspell something. All right. Now, if you go here down, it said navigation button. This is your navigation button here. So if you want to go to the beginning, you see it highlighted the whole thing. Okay? It highlighted the whole thing. Sabas flooring. If you want to go to the next, I will click the next record and then the third record. And that's it. I am now in the third record, 3 of 3. As you see, I have 3 records, right? Now, to resize the column in a data sheet, which I show you, you will go to the right of each of the column that is cutting off and double click it. All right. That's the most easiest. Now I will close it. I will close access and then I will show you how to open it again. All right. I will save my database. Now I will go to my folder, documents, access lecture. That's my database now. The ClearNet. Double click it to open it. Whenever you're gonna open a database, always you're gonna get this message, security warning. So always you have to enable to start adding more records or creating other object. But first you need to enable content. So enable. Now you can add as many record you want. All right. Next we want to do is to create a table using a design view now. So earlier, the shipper we created using the data sheet view, right? So now we're gonna create a table using a design view. Why is that? A design view is more efficient way to create a table than the data sheet view because you specify the field name, the data type, and the size all in one view. That's the benefit of using the design view. So I will repeat again. The design view is more efficient way to create a table than a data sheet view because you specify the field name, the data type, and the size all in one view. You don't need like to go through and find what is what, but in one screen or one view, you're gonna add all this. So to do that, We're gonna go to create the second tab, the ribbon change, and the second group is table. And obviously you will have to go to create, and then you will have to go to the second group table, and then you will click design, this table design, right? So I will click on it. It's gonna take me straight to the design, table design. That's the design view now. So in the design view is very easy. I have to provide the field name, the data type, and if I want to change any of the property of the field, I will just click it, the down window, and I can change it so quick. So the first one is we're gonna go to the first and we're gonna say location. See how fast I will do it. Location ID, and it's a short text, right? And then the size should be 5. So go and change to 5 under the field properties. The field size should be 5. And also we need to change the caption. The caption under the caption section, you will type L underscore ID. All right. And then we want the location ID to be our primary key. So you will go back here and you will click primary key and you see the keys been added. All right. So the next one will be location space name, and we want these to be 50, the field size. Highlight and press the enter key. Go back to the field. The third field will be location type. So see how fast is it. And then I need the size to be 15. And also I want to change the caption to type. Then go back here and let's say location street. And then the location street is 50. So go to the field properties and change it to 50, right? And then we need the caption to be street. Street. Now go back here. Let's type location, city, and a short text is the data type. As remember, the data type is what data the location, city, or the street look type will store, right? So it's gonna be a text. So that will be 25. And then the caption will be city. And then we will go back and tab location, state. The location state will be only two, the size of the field, only 2 characters. And the caption will be state. Then go back here and then let's do location, postal code. I will go back. I will push the code a little bit away from the postal. Short text, and we want the size to be 10. And then the caption. In one view, I'm doing all this. And it's more efficient, quicker. And then the caption for this will be postal code. Postal code. Then I will go to the last one. And that will be the shipper ID. Right? And then that will be the field size will be 5. And then we're gonna put the caption. The caption we don't want the caption. So we will put the description, right, in the caption. So we will go here and then we're gonna say what the description is optional as you see that here. So we're gonna say this one is the shipper ID if location if location is on on by a shipper. All right. Now we're gonna click the save the floppy disk from the top to get out of the design. So save it. And we're gonna call these locations. The table name will be locations. All right. And click OK. So I created two tables. Now if you wanna close it, you will hit the X or you gonna click from here. Right? So two tables been created. Locations and shippers. So we need to populate the location table. We want to populate the location table. So to do that, we will double click the location table. You see, it opens the location in a data sheet view. That's the data sheet view where you have to enter the record. So L001 and then location is service flooring. You will go to the right and you will stretch it. The type is warehouse. The street is 460 West Pioneer Road. So I will go to the right of the column street and I will double click to stretch it. The city is Dolores, and the state is OK. The postal code is 73026. And then the shipper is S001. All right. So I will increase here to stretch it. The next one, L002, is the Mid Valley Nursery Green Greenhouse. You can stretch it so you're gonna see what you typed. Nursery. The address is 602 HWY 127. Bleeding is OH, and then is 43056 is the postal code, and then S-002, the shipper ID. Then and then Port of New Orleans. So new, I have to go back and type it in capital. All right. That's how to modify if you have typed something wrong. And then port, and then 1350 port of New Orleans PL. I will stretch it. New Orleans, LA 70130. So there, I don't have anything in here. And then L 004 is a city, green, greenhouse, retail 586, Main Street, and then Creek City, OH 42357, L 005, the barn, 79HWY 5406, New New Boston, 43282, L 006, Silver Decor, 256A, North Utah Street, Standing Lake. I can stretch it. CO 41352. No shipper ID. Then we have the last one is auto supplier, where warehouse, and then 182 dash B, 56 Cloud Springs, LA 70784. And then I have S 003. Now I figured out that this one here, I put a wrong postal code. So that one is 81. So just overwrite 352. All right. So the rest is perfect. Okay. The silver decor, as you see that when I tap E, automatically access change it to E with with a dash, something like an accented with a something with a dash. That's automatically access did that. Now we have to close it. So to close, you can hit the tab X here. Do you want to save the changes? Yes. So we're done with that. So the next thing is we have to import additional access database table into an existing database. So what if you create a previous database and you want to use it in this new one, in the clear net database, right? So to do that, you will have to have the file already downloaded into your computer, and then you will just, it's gonna be easy, right? So to do that, I'm gonna go to now actually, why do we need to import an additional access database tables into an existing database? Organizations have data in tables that needs to be used in the other database. So importing table ensures efficiencies and accuracy, right? So to do that, we will go to the database tools. Sorry, we will go to the external data, and then you will click on the first group is import and link. So you will click new data source, click the small down arrow, and then click for me uh, the second option from a database and click the first one, access. So what I'm importing is an access database. So click on it. Now it's gonna open external database, get the external data and access database. That's what you choose. Now it asks you where the location is. Where is that database you want to import? So you will hit browse. So I downloaded and it's under the download. So I will go to the download. I will go a little bit down and it says Sherry Cashman access and the data file. So double click it, go to modules, and that's the one. Support ACO1 clear net extra table. So select and then click open. Then be sure that you leave the first option like import the table, queries, form, report, macros, everything I want to import it to this database, the ClearNet. Now click OK. Now here is what you want. You want tables, what you want. So obviously I will select all the three things here, the tables, and then I will say this, and then I will say OK after you selected all the three. OK. Now this one save the import step checkbox should not be checked, so you don't need to save the import steps. Hit close. Now all the three guys here is there. So we have the truck type, loads, and the carriers, right? So these were imported from the data file, which is the database. So from an existing database, you imported these three tables to be part of the current database, right? So now we need to create the additional database object. Remember, Access has four objects. Table is the first one. Without the table, you cannot do the next one. Then we have query. Query is when you want to ask any question, any complex question. The example of the query is that what if your boss says, can you get all the employees who make more than 70,000 yearly out of 10,000 records? So Access will pull up what you ask for from the table. Okay. So everything is linked to the table. Without table, forget about this one. You cannot ask any question because you don't have the records. So the second, the additional database object that you're gonna learn from me in this chapter is just like an introduction. We gonna, in my coming videos, you will see me, I will explore in detail the queries, the forms, and the report. So in this video, just is like an introduction to just show you how they look like. So report. And then we have macro and so on, but we're gonna be using these four. So this is your object, your database object in Access, right? So the most important is the table. Why? Because all your record is gonna be saved inside the table. And then I can ask question using the query, any of the question related to the record in my table. And then I can create a form so that the user can input the record into the table. And then I can create a report from the existing record in my table. All right. So the first database object is going to be the query. So my next video regarding chapter 2 is going to be about the queries in detail, right? So let's see how to create the queries. So first, what is the queries? Queries are simply questions, the answer to which are in the database. Access contain a powerful query features that help you find the answer to a wide variety of questions. Once you have examined the question, you might want to ask to determine the field involved in the question, right? So you can begin creating the query. You can do sort, you can do some restriction there, and also you can calculate. You can do some calculations too. So why do we need to use a simple query wizard to create a query? The simple query wizard is the quickest and the easiest way to create a query, right? It's very easy, but when I will have my next video regarding chapter 2, then I will show you I'm not gonna be using the wizard. We're gonna create using the design view for the query, right? So we're gonna go back to create, all right? So before we start the query, be sure that you click or don't open, just select, click on the shipper, right? And then click create and then look for the group that says queries. So you can create the query in design or wizard. So in this exercise for my first video about access, it's just an introduction. So we're gonna go with the query wizard and then I will select the simple query wizard, click OK. Next is from which table or query you want to ask the question. So because you already selected the shippers, that's why the shippers is already selected, right? So what we want to do in here is that I want to ask question about the shipper name. So you will click the greater arrow to add, or you can double click it, right? You can add this. Now, if you did mistake, you can just click here to take it off, right? So if you want to add, you will click the greater sign like this, or you can just from the available field box, you will double click the field you want to use it. So I will use double click, see? That's the most easiest. We need the shipper phone and then we need the email. And then the rest, we don't want it actually. And then we're gonna hit next. It's like a wizard, right? Stepwise, Access is gonna ask you next. And then what you wanna call it. I will call it shipper query. and then it's gonna open the query to view the information you requested, right? And then I will click, so there is no more next, finish. So that's what you asked for. The shipper name, contact of the shipper, the phone, and the email, right? Now, the next is to create a form. Now, let's close the shipper query. As you see now, Microsoft Access add a category queries, and that's the query that has what you asked for, right? So if you want to go back to it, just double click it, all right? If you want to close, you will hit the tab X to close it. Now the next is we have to click the shippers again, and we're gonna create a form. So what is actually a form is? Like a paper form, a form in a database is formatted document with the field that contain the data. So form allow you to view and maintain the data. Forms can also be used to print data through the report are more commonly used for that purposes, right? So to create the form, so the question is why do we need to create a form? Using the form button, which I'm going to show you, is the simplest way to create these kind of forms. So to do that, I selected the shipper, right? I will go now to the fourth group in the right of the query group is forms, and you will click on the first one, form. That's the most easiest and the quiz and the quickest way to create the form. Now look, I will click it. It's gonna create the form. It's done. Now I am in a layout view now. Layout means you can modify, you can boldface the labels and the data and the text boxes. You can boldface, you can change the color of it, whatever you wanna, because you are in what? In a layout view. So in the layout view, you can also go through the record. You can navigate by clicking here. Look, see, see. So if I want to go back, I'm clicking the navigation button in the bottom here, right? So, but I'm not in a form view where I need to enter a record and so on, right? So to change it, if you look here now in the status bar, it says you are in a layout view, right? So to switch it to form view, you will click here. See here? And you see by default, when you create the form, you are in a layout view, right? So for example, if you wanna change the size of these, you say that's too much big boxes, so you can shrink it down, right? So I can go here and I can say form view. So the form has three views: form view, layout view, and design view. Design view we're gonna be using in the coming chapters. In the coming videos, I will explore the design view. So for now, if you wanna go to the form view, so you're gonna click the arrow and form view, right? Or you can just click here in the status bar. So this one here is the layout. If you want to go back to the layout, I can click this, and then this one is the design. See the design view. So I can just click here to go back and forth, right? So that's the form view. Or I can just go here and then click on this. It's the same. If you look at these icons and if you look at this icon here, they are the same, right? Now, when you are in the form view, I can go to the next records. Look, I can go to the beginning, all right? So the next thing is we will save this form. So I will click the floppy, or I can just hit the X, and then it's gonna ask me, do you want to save the changes? I will say yes, and then it's gonna ask me the name. So I will hit the floppy, and now it's asking me what you want to name this. I will name it as shipper, the form as shippers form, and I will click OK. As you see in your navigation pane, we got the shipper now in this under the form section, right? Now, the next one is to create a report using the report wizard, right? A report in a database presents the data in a format that is easily distributed, either as a hard copy, like a printouts, or in other format, right? So we will be using the wizard, report wizard, like the way we did the query, which is an easy way to get started in creating a professional report. So the report is what? A report in a database presents the data in a format that is easily distributed, either as a hard copy or in other format, right? So to do that, this time I will close the form first from here. Now I will select the loads, the table loads. That's the one I'm going to use to create the report. So once I selected the load table from the navigation pane or the object window, I will go to create, and then the second last group or object is the report, right? And then we're going to click on report wizard. And then because already we selected the load table, so we have it. So now everything that you create in this database will be listed here. The queries under the query section here, and the tables will be named table, and then whatever the table name is, right? So in this case, what we need is we need either you want to use this, the grid, to add the available field to the selected field box, or you can just double click it. So we need load ID, pickup date, we want drop off date. So drop off date, we are looking for rate confirmation. We are looking for the truck type. We are looking for the status. We are looking for the carrier. All right. So the rest, I don't want it. Right. So once you have choose that, you will hit next. And then do you want to add any group level? Like if you have like a state, right? And you will group all the state that share the same characteristics, like Maryland MD, and all the MD associated record will be under the MD. So if you have record under New Jersey, NJ, so then it's gonna be grouped with the NG. Or if you have New York, NY, all the record associated to NY will be grouped together, right? So in this case, the book says you can choose the status. By status, we're gonna group all these records, right? So select status, and then click this arrow here. Once you've done that, next. Now the next is to sort, right? If you wanna sort. If you wanna sort. So we will not sort anything, but if you wanna sort other than the one, so you're gonna sort from here, right? The next, the layout will be stepped, and then the portrait is the orientation, right? And then unless you want landscape, right? So it's up to you what you wanna choose in here. So I will personally leave it as I will make it landscape. next, and then we will leave it as the loads space add report, and then we will click. There's no more next. The wizard is almost end. Now hit finish to preview the report. That's the report is created, right? Now, if you want to go, you want to use the layout view in a report. So you see when you're gonna close the report, let's open it again. And you see here in the status bar above my date and clock, these are the four view of the report. So now I'm in a report view. The next one is print preview. The third one is layout view and then design view. So if you want to go to use the layout view in a report, I can do it from here too, from the ribbon. And then I can click on layout view. So that's the layout view. Or I can switch it to the design view. That's the design view. All right. And then you can move the level if you said, I don't want the level to be here. So select, and then when you see the four black arrows, you can drag it if you want it here, right? Now you will go back to the report design, and then you will hit view. So you can go here and report. So you see, we move the title of the report in the middle. All right. Now we have to identify the database property now, right? So Access help you organize and identify your databases by using the database property now, which are the detail about the file. Database properties, also known as metadata, can include such information as the project author, the title of the project, or the subject. The keywords are the words or phrase that further describe the database, right? So to do that, we will go now. Let me close the report, save the changes. Now go to File. That's the backstage, you can say. And then go to Info. And then when you are in the Info, then you see here it says View and Edit the database property, this one here. So click it, and it's gonna pop with this dialog box. And then you're gonna add here, right? Whatever the subject is, and then anything you want to say in the view here. The title is this, subject is what, who is the manager? I will just put Nur. And then what's the company name, what the category is, all this stuff you can put it for your create net property, right? So the company I will say is Clear Net, right? INC and so on. And then if you want to add this, also you can do so. I will click OK. Next. Next is if you want to do a backup and recovery, you want to save the database, right? Before anything could happen to it, or you might lose all your work. So what you could do is you can go back here, save as, save the database as, click on as, and then I will go to my database folder, right? So let me go to the document, access, and then I will say the same, but I will say backup, and then I will click save. So what's gonna happen? I will have two of the kind, right? So I will now close it, Now, I want to share with you is that you see the ClearNet, the size is 1,280 kilobyte is the size. You see that here for this one. So what I will do is I will use the compact and repair a database, which will allow me to compact and repair my database and remove all those additional spaces that we have, right? So notice is it was 1,280, right? So let's do this. So I will open this guy here, open, double click the database, and then you will go to file, and then you will go to info, and then you see here it says compact and repair, which help to prevent and correct the data file problems by using the compact and repair. So I will click on it and it's done, right? So I will go to file and close the database, right? And then I will go to file, right? And then let me go back. And then I will close access. Now look at my folder. Look, it become the same as my backup. See, 572. So it was 1,280 kilobyte. From 1,280 kilobyte to 7 by compacting it. And also when you did your backup, it did compact it, right? So in this case, we compact and repair the database, right? So this ends my lecture and my video regarding database and database object as an introduction. And I hope that you learn about how to create a table in Microsoft Access. And hopefully you learn the concept about creating a database. And then within the database, we created the table. The first thing we did was a table. Then we created the query, we created form, and then we created report. So in the coming videos, I will explore much in detail about the queries, the forms, and the report, right? So be sure to practice, and please be sure to like my video and like my video so I can create more nice videos to make you mastered in Access, Microsoft Access. So thank you so much. Bye. Good night. Bye. And have a nice day.